Hello my friends and welcome back to Slay the Spire 2. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm just going to keep climbing the Ascension level, so I'm just going to play a random character. I've just been randoming and playing whichever class I get. We could end up, I think, anywhere from Ascension 3 to Ascension 10, depending on which character I roll and how far I've pushed them. So let's see what we've got. We have the Ironclad. I haven't done an Ironclad game since the very first game that I played of Slay the Spire 2 as a video, so excited to show off this character a little more now that I understand the game a little bit better. Alright, so let's look at our options here. We could take Greed, we could remove a card from our deck, always a good option. The Ironclad starts with only 10 cards, unlike the Silent who has 12, so thinning your deck is even more impactful for this character. Or we could have the Act 1 boss drop 2 relics. I think let's just go ahead and take the Precise Scissors, and I'll remove a Defend. With the Ironclad, with basically every other class, I prefer to remove Strikes. With the Ironclad, because you have the inherent healing, you often want to remove Defends, because you're more likely to want to take a fight where you take damage and just speed burn the enemy down. I'm looking at our options here, so something that people have pointed out is that I should be drawing on the map for my checks of the map paths, and I should also be using the highlighting so we can show off exactly what we've got available. So we could do some elite fights with, let's see, we could get 4 elites on the left here, so if we went up, we could get this one, and we could take, it looks like, a path kind of like this. We get a rest area if I do that. We could go to the right and get a shop as well. Currently there's no shop in that path, but I could go to the right here, go through the shop, go through the rest, and then start taking elite fights. Alright, let's do that. Alright. So we've got 11 incoming damage from this enemy. I'm just going to block 10 of it and hit it once with a strike. And then 8 more incoming damage. So here, this is a spot where I can just go bash and defend, and we'll take 3. And then we'll go strike, strike, strike. And I just need to roll into double strike in order to win this fight, and then we get 6 HP back. Let's look at our first option. So, Perfected Strike is a card I've actually been enjoying a lot in Slay the Spire 2. There's a couple ways to get more cards that have Strike in the name. By default, this is 2 energy for, so it's 2 for 8, not counting any other strikes that you have, because it counts itself. So it's 8 damage just by default. But because we have 5 other strikes, it's actually 2 for 18 damage. Twin Strike, of course, is another option to add a strike to the deck, but let's go with Perfected Strike and we'll build kind of a strikes deck. Then I'm going to go to the left here, like we talked about. 8 damage incoming, so let's go defend and bash, and get the enemy vulnerable. We're weak this turn, so if I use Perfected Strike, that's 20 damage plus 6 from strike, so it's not enough to kill the enemy here. So I'm just going to go defend, defend, and strike. We would have won this fight in 2 turns if it hadn't put weak on us, but since it did, we just have to cycle through the deck one more time. 11 incoming damage again, and this is going to be 4, so Perfected Strike again doesn't quite do it. So we're actually going to take kind of a big hit, big HP loss in this fight, just because it weakened us. And our strategy of burning through the fights quickly doesn't work as well against enemies that apply weakness. That's certainly true. Alright, well, so we have an interesting option here. I think Bloodletting is maybe the Ironclad's best card. A 2 energy boost is incredible. Losing 3 HP is not that big a deal. For this character, you heal at the end of any fight anyways, thanks to your Burning Blood starting relic. Twin Strike, of course, boosts our Perfected Strike and is a good card already, and Breakthrough is also a very strong card, but I think I'm just going to take Bloodletting. I think it is just too good to pass up on. More energy is typically the easiest way to win these games, so having Bloodletting available is just going to give us so much more potential to kill these enemies quickly. So here, for example, I could use Bloodletting, I could also try to get a perfect cycle and take no damage in this fight. We're going to get double defend no matter what next shuffle. So if I just go perfected strike and strike on the one that's attacking, I don't need to use bloodletting, and we can maybe regain some of the HP that we've lost in previous fights this turn. I don't want to strike here, because I would take 2 damage, and then we would take 1, thanks to the thorns from the Toadpole. So we're just going to go for a clean cycle here, and gain back some HP without spending any. We'll take 12 gold, get a potion, and add another card. Okay, this is another set of cards that I really like all of. Stone Armor is very good, I think, for the Ironclad, because it lets you have some block and conserve your HP without having to spend energy on it every turn, so it's a much more valuable tool for this character. Inflame, of course, is great. We're doing attacks, so increasing our strength is always good. And I've actually been quite impressed with Stampede, which I wasn't really expecting to. Obviously, with the Ironclad, I'm still at low ascensions here, but so far I've thought that this card was pretty good, because you spend 2 energy initially, but it upgrades to only cost 1, and then you immediately get at least 1 energy back. By playing the attack, so it's kind of free to play. And then in future turns, it's +1 energy, not spent optimally, but at least +1 energy every turn, sometimes more if you have more expensive cards. So let's go for a Stampede deck here. We're at a low ascension level, so I'm just going to try to show off fun strategies as well. And then let's go to the shop. Here, I can take Iron Wave is okay. Shrug It Off I like a lot. This is again a way to cycle through my deck. It's also quite good with Stampede because it's going to draw us into the attacks that Stampede can then play for free. So I think what we're going to do in this shop is I'm going to do a remove card. We'll remove a defend and we'll replace it with Shrug It Off. I'll want some way to get block later on that's not just like our 2 defends and Shrug It Off, but in Act 1, at least on these low ascension levels with the Ironclad, you can take damage somewhat freely. Alright, so our plan was to go along this path and then zigzag through here. That still gets us a decent number of rest sites, so I think we will stick with that plan. I could go to the right and do like this, event, and then a rest site here. We would still get 3 elite fights if I went this way instead. And then I get some events. It pushes the elite fights a little later in the act too, which I don't mind. So I think I'm actually going to deviate and we'll take this right-hand path. All right. So let's go ahead and upgrade, and since we got Stampede, we really need to upgrade it. It's pretty inefficient in its unupgraded state, but when it's upgraded, it's much more efficient. And then we'll take this event. I really don't want to add greed to this deck, so we'll just take the 66 gold here. Take this event as well, and nice, we got a relic from a random event chest. That's always great. Mango, not a great relic overall, but since we're spending our HP early on, having more of it is certainly not bad. Now we're up to 82 health, so we can take even some fairly dangerous elite fights and even do them fairly badly, and we'll still be okay. I'm also going to clear up these drawings, because it bothers me to have them just always on the map. This is probably the hardest elite fight. I don't have any AoE damage. We don't have a Whirlwind. We passed on our, whatever the card was that deals 1 to you and a bunch of damage to the enemies. Breakthrough, I think. So I'm going to use my potion here and see if we can get something that'll help us against this elite, just because it's kind of a difficult elite to fight. Bola's is 3 damage, and we get it back every turn. So it's kind of +3 damage each turn for 0. Equilibrium, of course, will prevent some incoming damage. We're probably going Stampede and Defend. But if I take Equilibrium, I could go Stampede and Bash. I think that's just going to be better overall. It's going to save us a lot of damage this turn. And then I can play Equilibrium. So actually, Stampede can play Bash for free. So do I want to play... If I play Strike Strike, it's guaranteed to play the Bash for free, and that's +1 energy for us. So the question is, would I rather have the enemy vulnerable and potentially hit it with a strike? I think that doesn't matter that much. So let's go Strike and Strike here. And then we'll bash something. We did bash the enemy that had some shields, so slightly unfortunate random targeting there, but that's okay. This turn, I'm going to start with Shrug It Off. And then we'll go with Bloodletting. So Perfected Strike is 18 damage, so we can definitely kill this one. Let's start with Bloodletting, because I'm always going to cast that. And then I could do... Yeah, I can't kill any of the other enemies this turn. So let's just kill the one that we can guaranteed kill. And then I'll play a Strike on the low health Gardener. And I think here I'm going to play a Defend. We don't need to play one of these strikes to guarantee Stampede hitting a better attack. So let's just hope it doesn't hit the one that it just hit. Here, we can go with Equilibrium for some good block, but I actually don't need to do that because Shrug It Off and Defend is enough. So let's go ahead and draw, play Defend, and I'll just play Strike here, and we don't need to Bloodletting. I could play it to do a Retain, but we'll just play Strike. Okay, it did hit not the one that had shield this time. This turn, we're taking 9 from this enemy, so let's go ahead and just Perfected Strike to kill this one. Play a Defend, and we'll take 4 damage, and get another free strike out here. I wouldn't mind having one more strike in the deck so that this did 20. There's so many spots on this turn where doing 20 damage would have killed the enemy and doing 18 damage didn't. So it is interesting that because I didn't take Twin Strike, we are having our Perfected Strike be not as powerful. Something to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and Shrug It Off here. And I am going to play the Bloodletting this turn. We'll take a little bit of damage. We'll go ahead and use Perfected Strike and Bash on this enemy. I have to bash it. Actually, I guess I should do Strike, Strike, and then Bash will be played with Stampede, which will leave vulnerable on the other one. And then we can go Strike. We can't kill it this turn, so let's just play Equilibrium to prevent any more damage. And then this turn, we should be able to kill it just with Triple Strike, right? It's going to gain 6 health back, but we can just chop through that. So we took some damage this fight, but nothing that we can't absorb, given that our HP total was really high. Alright, so Conflagration is pretty good overall. I mean, 1 energy for 8 damage to all enemies is already a really solid card by itself, and boosting up to 10 or 12 is often going to be really powerful as well. This also combines very well with Stampede, because if it gets played for free with Stampede, you're very likely to have played more attacks that turn. Spite is also a card I like a lot. We are losing HP off the Bloodletting, and we'll probably have other effects that cost us health to play. But Conflagration, this is a card I haven't gotten a chance to try out that much yet, and it's very powerful with our current strategy, so that's what we're going to go with. Go to the left here, and we will pick up a random relic. Bag of Marbles, maybe the best relic that you can get on the Ironclad, just letting you kill enemies on the first turn so much more reliably, so really nice find there. We don't need to rest, we'll go ahead and smith. What's the upgrade on Conflagration? 9 to all enemies, and then 3 extra damage. So usually that's going to take it from 10 to 12. That's an okay upgrade since it applies to everything, but not incredibly high value. Perfected Strike does... This is going to be plus 6 damage on the Perfected Strike, so from 18 to 24. Or I could upgrade Bloodletting to make it give us an extra energy. We don't actually need the extra energy that much because I have Stampede, basically giving us 1 energy per turn. So any turn where we play Bloodletting, we'll be able to play our full hand regardless, most of the time. So let's upgrade the Perfected Strike so that when we play it, it actually kills stuff. Then I'll go here. So this enemy has 17 damage incoming. I'm going to start with Bloodletting. And I can play Stampede, Bash, Defend, and then we'll play Perfected Strike for free off the Stampede. And we do take a really big hit this turn, but we should be able to stun the enemy on this next turn. So I do want to go Strike, Strike. I guess if I play Shrug It Off, there's a chance... Yeah, well, we're guaranteed to draw into a Strike. So there's a chance we play Strike instead of Conflagration. It does mean that I get to actually roll through all these strikes, which I don't really want to draw next turn, and we do get to spend an extra energy, sort of, but it's not on something that matters. I think it's better to just guarantee playing Conflagration here for the additional damage. Put this enemy down to 50, it's still vulnerable this turn, and then we just go Strike, Strike, Strike. It makes us vulnerable, but can we do 29 damage this turn? Pretty easily. We should be able to go Bash, Strike, and then play Perfected Strike off of Stampede, killing this enemy. Alright. A Speed Potion, not bad for blocking a big incoming hit on a turn where we want to play block. Having the Speed Potion is good. Unsettling Lamp. Okay, so I haven't seen this relic before, I don't think. Each combat, the first time you play a card that debuffs an enemy, double its effect. That's a very cool card. Our debuff currently is only Bash, but doubling the duration of Vulnerable is good against all of the enemies. So let's take the Unsettling Lamp for sure. And then Breakthrough goes very well. None of these are strikes. Breakthrough goes very well with our Conflagration for just a bunch of AoE damage. And taking the 1 HP damage doesn't matter that much. I already talked about how I like Stone Armor quite a bit. It upgrades to 6 plating as well. I think for this deck, I don't really need the Breakthrough because I have some AoE with Conflagration already. So I think I'll take the Stone Armor here so that in later acts, we're able to actually build up some block for the fights where you need block. So one more decision. I could go up here and get an extra elite fight if I go to the left, or I could go to the right and take a shop. We do have 200 gold, so a shop is not a terrible plan. But I think we're really strong. We have a bunch of health. I think I'd rather just take the elite fight and get a relic. Here, I'm going to upgrade Stone Armor. I think usually if you get this card, you should upgrade it because it's just so much more block. Not only is it 2 more block on the turn you play it, but it means that it lasts for 2 more turns. So it's just going to give you a lot more block overall. And each subsequent turn, it's more block than it would have been if it wasn't upgraded. Alright, well, we got our shop anyways, so that's pretty nice. Another Perfected Strike. Double Perfected Strike is pretty interesting, especially I could go double Stampede. I could also go with... I don't actually know which of these I would take. The Bolas isn't bad, but I think we're not drawing enough cards to make this worth having in the deck. And we don't have any way to build up strength currently, which is what makes a card like this really good. If I do a card removal, I can't buy both Perfected Strike and Stampede, right? That's 128. So we're exactly 1 gold short of being able to buy both of those and remove a card. That's hilarious. I kind of want to do... I think 1 Stampede is probably enough. So I think what we're going to do is we'll do a card removal, we'll take out another Defend, and then we'll pick up a Perfected Strike here. And then, yeah, I'm 1 gold short of being able to buy a Stampede, but honestly, 1 Stampede is enough to have in the deck. And then we'll proceed here. Having multiple Perfected Strikes I like a lot, because of course they each make each other better, and you can build around that plan much more reliably. This turn, we can go Bloodletting, Bash, Perfected Strike, and we'll play a Defend. We've already done our 20 damage to the enemy this turn, This guy can't take more than 20 damage. We're definitely going to take some damage in this fight because our plan of killing the enemy really quickly works a lot less well when the enemy has a maximum amount of damage that it can take in a turn. Conflagration is still better damage than any of these strikes, so we'll do that, and we get to take 2 this turn, but the plating, you can see, is really coming in handy. I will play Stampede, and then, doesn't really matter what I play, right? We're gonna do 20 damage no matter what. Although, Perfected Strike for nominally 40 is pretty fun. Alright, so this turn, unfortunately, we drew triple Daze, and didn't draw Shrug It Off or our Defend. So we are going to take a lot of damage this turn. We at least get the enemy down to 19, but we are taking a big hit for 18 damage here. Oh, no, wait, because I still have plating, so we're still in okay shape. And then, you know what, let's Perfected Strike for 30 and finish it off in one go. Oh, wow, so the Gorget is really good with our plan with the stone armor. This means we can cut all our defends, and with just the 1 block card, we should be pretty good on block. And you know what? I'll keep taking Perfected Strikes. The more of these we have, the better each of them is. So we'll just see if we can get our Perfected Strikes up to just massive damage. Here I'm going to Smith, and I will upgrade, I think, just one of the Perfected Strikes. Now kind of wishing that I couldn't have bought the Stampede anyways, but I would be very happy to have a second Stampede now, because we'll often have multiple cards that cost 2 in hand, and then the Stampede could play more than one of them. This turn, I don't need to Bloodletting, so let's just go ahead and play Stampede, Strike, Strike, and then we get a Perfected Strike for free with the Stampede for 45. The Soulfish puts these Beckons in my deck, which unfortunately you can't block the damage from Beckon, so we do have to play this or we'll lose health. One thing that's worth noting, though, is that we're on low Ascension difficulty, so we will heal back to basically full at the end of this fight. I will do Shrug It Off here, and I think if I defend, we don't take any damage, so we'll just kind of leave it up to chance which card Stampede plays. Obviously, we want it to play Bash, so it doesn't... I'll play the Conflagration just to make sure that gets played. 6 damage incoming here, so we'll play Stone... Or 7 damage incoming here, so we'll play the Stone Armor. I'll play Beckon, and I'll play Strike, and then we get a free Perfected Strike, hopefully the upgraded one. Which indeed it was. And then this turn, I mean, our turn is fairly set here. The enemy is intangible this turn, so we can't deal more than 1 damage to it at a time. Because the Soulfish will do that on its card rotations. So I'll go for Shrug It Off here. I'll definitely play the Beckon, and I'll play Defend. And then we'll deal 1 damage with one of our Perfected Strikes, alas. Alright, this turn we're in much better shape in terms of being able to play our card. So I'm going to go Bash. Conflagration we hit for 15. Or I could play Strike. And then... So this is actually an interesting Stampede turn. So if I play Strike, we have a 50-50 of dropping Conflagration or Perfected Strike. Obviously, the best case is we drop Perfected Strike with our Stampede. Playing Strike before Conflagration means that if we low roll and hit Conflagration, we do 2 extra damage there, so we would deal 18 damage total. Playing Conflagration, we would... If we play Conflagration first, then... If we high roll, we do more damage. We do 40 because, or actually the Perfected Strike is 45, but we get the 10 from Conflagration and then the more damage from Perfected Strike. But if we roll into the Strike instead, then we do less damage. Does it also make the difference of killing the enemy? So this is 15 plus 45, so even if we play Conflagration and then roll into Perfected Strike, it doesn't die. For that reason, I'm going to play it safe. We'll do the strike here. I'm going to take 6 damage from Beacon. That's fine. And that way, even if we get the bad roll, which we did, we still do a little bit more damage, putting the enemy more likely to be able to be killed on our next turn. So, kind of a fun little optimization puzzle with the Stampede turn there. Let me know in the comments what you would have done in that spot, because I think that was a really interesting turn that you could play either way, and there's good arguments either way. So, interested to hear your thoughts on that one. But anyways, that's Act 1 down. As the Ironclad, you can tend to burn through those really quickly, which of course we did. So let's see what card we got. And we have Brand. Lose 1 HP. Exhaust 1 card, which is actually a good thing, of course, because you can start pulling some bad cards out of your deck. And gain 1 strength. So a really nice skill to loop here. Cruelty. Vulnerable enemies take an extra 25% damage. And then if we upgrade it, it's 50, so it's just double damage to enemies. Or Dark Embrace. Whenever a card's exhausted, draw a card. Obviously, we go really well with the Brand here. You can probably do some cool infinite loops with these 2 cards, but we're just, we're a Rock'em Sock'em robot right now. We're just doing big hits as quickly as we can. So I'm going to take the Cruelty here to make our vulnerable even better. We'll try to upgrade that so that all our attacks do double damage. We'll try to get 1 more source of vulnerability, but with the Bag of Marbles and Cruelty, and Bash, of course, natively in the deck, enemies should be vulnerable a lot, and it's going to be really powerful when they are. And jumping in for Act 2, let's see what the Ancient has for us. Okay, we've got extra energy, always great. Oh, that's fun. Card rewards now contain cards from other colors. Like, an Ironclad, how possible? Scary? Very scary! You may re-roll each card reward once, or replace Burning Blood with Black Blood, which gives us 12 healing at the end of combat. Okay, obviously I'm taking the Prismatic Gem. Not only do I think this is the most powerful, it's super fun to get cards from other colors, so we'll see what weird combos we can make. Just an awesome setup here. Let's take a look at our path. So we could go here, get a shop, and then an elite. And then if I go to the right, we can get 3 elites that way. So it looks like there's no paths with more than 3 elites, if that's something I wanted. So the initial path that I'm looking at looks pretty good to me. We get some upgrades, which we want, because we want to at least upgrade Perfected Strike. We get to hit a shop relatively early. So I think this is going to be the path. So let's go to the left here. Alright, so 11 incoming damage this turn. We can play all of my cards and then just get a free Perfected Strike. These enemies can't take more than 9 damage at a time. So, and I don't have any block. Do I want to use a skill potion to maybe prevent some of that 11 damage? Although actually, because we have the Gorget, we're only taking 7. I think a skill potion for 7 damage is not worth it, so let's just play Cruelty, Stampede, and I'll play a Strike. I'm going to play 2 strikes on this one, because if Perfected Strike hits the middle one, it will do 9 damage, and that way we'll have killed one of them, so we get a 1 in 3 chance of taking one of these enemies out of the fight. Missed on that, but that's alright. So, obviously we wouldn't have taken any damage if we'd hit that 1 in 3, but we weren't expecting to. 9 incoming damage this turn. So I can go, for example, Strike, and then Bash. I'm going to play Defend here. Or not 9, sorry, 17 incoming damage this turn. Given that there's 17 damage incoming, I'm going to play one of these, play my Skill Potion to see if I can kill something with the Skill Potion or get some block. We didn't get any block. I think we'll take Primal Force, though. Yes, we lose our Bash, but this gives us attacks that all do at least 9 damage, so we can kill some of these enemies. I can damage... I can kill this one with the 2 giant rocks, and then I guess we'll kill this one, and then we only take 1 this turn. 10 damage incoming this turn, but I can play Stone Armor, Shrug It Off, and then I'll play Strike and Conflagration. And then we get a free Perfected Strike. And we kill that enemy. Wait, what did it take the extra 6 damage from? Oh, Parrying Shield. I keep forgetting I have the Parrying Shield, but when we end with 10 block, we get 6 more damage. So that killed it in 1 turn instead of having to wait until next turn. Okay, cool. So we have Crush Under. This is a Regent card. Deal 8 damage to all enemies, and they lose 2 strength this turn. Pretty cool. Defy gives us the ability to apply weakness to the enemies and 7 block. Weakening enemies is pretty good, especially because we have all this plating. So I think I'm going to take a Defy here. It's also ethereal, so in fights where we don't want it, we can just let it disintegrate and remove it from the deck. So kind of cool that we're getting a Necrobinder card there. All right, this turn we've got the Bullbug, which we want to stun if possible. So if I use a Dexterity Potion, we're still 1... or I can use the Speed Potion. This guy does 15 incoming damage, so I'm going to use the Speed Potion here, play Shrug It Off, then we'll have 17 block, and that way this guy will stun himself. We can play Stone Armor, Cruelty, and just a Strike here. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have played the Cruelty. I should have played Perfected Strike, because I could have killed the Bullbug there. The Egg Bullbug. So, yeah, that was actually kind of a badly played turn by me. Not that it really matters, but obviously should have played that a little better. So here I have 7 damage incoming, but we have 9 plating. I can play Strike, Conflagration, which does enough damage to kill this enemy, and then we can Perfected Strike the other one. Let Defy disintegrate there. And then we can finish off this enemy. So we didn't end up taking any meaningful damage, but I definitely could have optimized that a little more. Okay, so we could get Asti. We could summon Asti with 9 HP with Afterlife. Now, of course, this character doesn't resummon Asti every turn because we don't have the relic. Applying Vulnerable to the enemy here, so this is a pretty nice attack for the Ironclad, especially because we have Cruelty. So as fun as it would be to summon Asti for this build, I think we're going to go with Fear, just to try to burn the enemies down faster. We are, once again, just Unga Bunga big damage. Alright, so, the Bug Slayer. As you're fending off a swarm of aggressive insects, you suddenly notice a mighty, rugged warrior man fighting beside you this whole time. The insects, sensing defeat, scatter. You turn to your fellow fighter. Would you like any tips on exterminating these pests? How polite. You nod and accept his offer. Okay, so we have to add one of these. Squash is 10 damage and 2 vulnerable, so better than the card we just added. I probably wouldn't have taken Fear if I knew we were getting Squash. Or Exterminate is 12 damage to all enemies, and even better if we have additional strength. I think that Exterminate is still better. I mean, this card is just awesome. With any strength, it's just really good. I see. You wish to learn the Extermination technique. Very good. He pauses briefly, thinking how best to endow you with this maneuver. This is the technique! Behold! He boasts while holding up a can of insecticide. Let's go to the shop here, and then... Okay, I do kind of want another Stampede, like I talked about earlier. If I buy that, I can't remove a card, because we have 196, and this would be a total of 199. So again, we're just very slightly short. Gold Axe is kind of interesting as well as just an attack. Spite is pretty good. We only have one way to lose health with Bloodletting currently, but we might be able to pick up more of those. Removing Defend, of course, is something that I'm interested in as well. I think I might take the Stampede, though. We're at the point, if I take Stampede and another Shrug It Off, we can cycle through our deck enough that we can play a lot of free cards with Stampedes. So I'm going to take that. We'll upgrade it as soon as we get to this campfire here. Pretty glad I took the Exterminate this turn, because it's really good against these enemies, obviously. I can go Stampede, Strike, Exterminate, and then we'll always play Perfected Strike for free. so we're going to do that. So I'll start with the Exterminate. And then Perfected Strike is going to kill whatever it hits. So I probably want to spread out the damage. So that I'm not wasting damage if it hits the one that I target. And I can't kill any of these other enemies just with the 18 damage from our strikes. So we are going to take some hits this turn. So I guess let's just lower the high health ones so we can maybe kill them next turn. Took a little bit of damage here. We actually got lucky and our Perfected Strike hit the highest health enemy as well. So now we've got Fear. We can apply Vulnerable. Let's kill the one that's doing the most damage, and then we'll bash the other one for free. No need to cast Bloodletting this turn. This one will come back, but we should have enough damage to burn it down with whatever our draw is here, probably. And I don't need... So this is interesting. I'll start with Shrug It Off. I will actually not be able to kill all the enemies this turn because we're weakened and I just didn't draw into any of my Perfected Strikes. They were in the bottom 5 cards of my deck. So I've got 10 damage incoming from this one. I think what we're going to do here is we'll play Defy, we'll play Stone Armor, and we'll play Cruelty, and we'll let the Conflagration go. I'm not playing a second Stampede this turn, but I've got all of my block set up, my plating set up, which is really nice. And then this turn we can just go Perfected Strike, and end the fight, having taken minimal damage. Take the Happy Flower, that's great. Obviously, more energy is excellent. Okay, Putrefy, I like a lot. Hang, deal 10 damage, double the damage all Hang cards deal to this enemy specifically. And obviously, we don't want Barrage, because we don't have any orb slots. I think I don't mind having a Putrefy in this deck. The deck is getting kind of large, but when you're playing the Ironclad and just doing just straight up attacking decks, having a bunch of cards in the deck doesn't really matter as well, because all of your cards ideally should do basically the same thing. So having a thin deck, and you're not trying to loop or do infinite combos or anything like that, so having a thin deck doesn't matter as much for the Ironclad as it does for other characters. So I'm going to upgrade a card here. We will, at least for this version of the Ironclad, with like Bloodletting Whirlwind combos, it's very thin deck is very important. So let's take a look at Exterminate. This is 4 damage, 4 times. I think we will just take the Stampede upgrade. I could upgrade Cruelty as well, which I want to do, but playing more cards for free is just always going to be good, and making your cards cheaper is always going to be excellent. Alright, we'll play Cruelty, we'll play Stone Armor, we'll play Perfected Strike on the Spiny Toad. I do need to remember that the Spiny Toad has its thorns, so if I play Exterminate, for example, I will be taking 20 damage. For that reason, I probably don't want to play Stampede this turn. And instead I might just bash it once. We're taking a giant hit, but I think getting it vulnerable is important regardless. So I'm going to pass on playing anything else this turn to avoid taking a bunch of damage. This enemy is always going to be somewhat hard for us, but here I believe we just win with our Perfected Strikes. So we did take some damage there. Nothing we can't survive, though. All right, I do need more ways to apply Vulnerable, so I will take a Thunderclap as well. Thunderclap is really good with the Unsettling Lamp, because it's going to be 2 turns of Vulnerable to all enemies, so that is way better than 1 turn. Blood Vial, very nice. We're pretty happy to just keep healing, and then, yeah, I much rather would upgrade a card than take another card reward, so we'll go Smith here. I will upgrade Cruelty. Like I said, having our cards do double damage to vulnerable enemies is going to let us burn through these encounters really fast. So here, for example, we're doing... Oh no, I haven't played the Cruelty yet, obviously. This is another spot where Stampede is kind of risky, though, because if I play Exterminate, we're putting a lot of dazes into my deck. I'm always going to Defy here, I think. Weakening this enemy is pretty good. And now we're only taking 3 damage. So the question is, do I want to play Stampede, risk putting 4 dazes into my deck here? I think that's okay. We'll do 45 damage. We'll play Stampede. Obviously, we're hoping to roll Perfected Strike. That would be better. But even if we get a bunch of dazes in the deck, I don't think it's going to make it that much harder for us to win this fight. And we got lucky, so worked out even better. This turn, I can go with Fear or Putrefy. I will do both, but we'll play the non-damaging card first, and then we'll take 4. Got a few more dazes shuffled in. Part of the advantage of having a large deck is it makes the impact of status cards lower. So that is something that we do have going for us, and that was a pretty clean Ectomancer fight. Take the Fish Oil, going to be very good in various boss fights. How does this work with Cruelty? So this is 75% more damage, and Cruelty is just additive plus 50%, right? Yeah, so that's going to take it up to 225% total damage when we hit an enemy with Vulnerable, when we have Cruelty in play. That's amazing. Add a card to my deck. Okay, well, we don't have ways to generate stars, unfortunately, with decisions. Otherwise, I would take that card. Photon Cut is pretty good. Being able to draw cards is nice. And manipulating our draw is pretty good as well. This is also an okay damaging card. So I think we will take a Photon Cut. It's especially good with Stampede because we want to fill our hand. And then here I will Smith. And we'll Smith... Exterminate is pretty good. Bloodletting is pretty good. I think I'll just Smith my last Perfected Strike, though, just to maximize the damage that those are doing. Alright, this enemy is vulnerable, so we can just hit it a bunch. And unfortunately, I don't have more damage that I can do, but we can get it vulnerable for 5 turns, and then we can hit it with a bunch of strikes, and we'll take 18 here. That is, of course, the downside of the Perfected Strike build, especially when you don't have additional ways to draw cards as, like, relics or anything like that. When you draw all your strikes in your opening hand, that's, of course, very bad. But now we can play Double Stampede here, and we can get our free Perfected Strike, and we take 2. And then this turn, I'm going to go with Putrefy on this enemy. I'll go with Shrug It Off to draw a card. I'll play a Defend. I'll play a Strike. I'll play Exterminate. And then I guess we can let Conflagration play for free or play it, so I'll just play it. Take a little bit of damage here, and then we can Perfected Strike to win the fight. Slice for 0, I don't think we want. Patter, I don't think we want. Dodge and Roll, I don't think we want either. So let's pass on all of those. Go to another event. The Spirit Grafter. Okay. Above, a cocoon is shaking and wriggling, about to burst forth. It stops wriggling. The cocoon ignites. What is going on? In a flash of light and flame, a Spirit Grafter rushes into you, threatening to merge with your being to become complete. Let it in. Heal 25, add Metamorphosis to your deck. Add 3 random attacks into your draw pile. They're free to play this combat and then exhaust. Or lose 9 and remove a card. So I could remove a Defend. We're kind of having fun with it, though. Let's go with Metamorphosis. It's not a great card, but it is kind of cool. And random attacks that are free to play, I think, is something this deck is kind of interested in, regardless. The Spirit Grafter merges with you. The vital kindred spirit swiftly heals you up. You are reborn. Alright, and then let's go... Metamorphosis Plus adds 5 random attacks to your draw pile. Or I could get one of these other cards upgraded. I think it's high time I upgrade this Bash. No, wait, because I don't need to upgrade Bash, because I have Unsettling Lamp, so it's going to apply 4 turns of Vulnerable most times that I cast it anyways. So let's upgrade Bloodletting. just to make sure I can cast all my expensive spells if we happen to draw them all in the opening turn before we draw Stampede to cast them for free. Alright, this enemy is vulnerable currently, so if I putrefy it, then the Unsettling Lamp is going to be 6 turns of vulnerable and weakness, which is great. I'm going to go with Photon Cut first, I think. I don't really... I would prefer that the Fear disintegrate, because we already have applied enough turns of vulnerable that we won't run out ever. So obviously I'm playing Stampede, so I'm always going to do that. I think we'll play the Photon Cut, we'll see what we draw, and I'll put a Strike back and play Cruelty. I'm not actually sure if the Fear will get played here by the Stampede, or if it'll go Ethereal and disappear. Maybe I should have used the Fish Oil as well. I think I will use an Attack Potion, because I do want to kill this enemy a little faster. And I could exhaust the Metamorphosis, but I do kind of want to replay it. My discard pile is currently Photon Cut. I do not mind putting that back on top, so let's take Headbutt, and we'll put Photon Cut on top. Alright, the Fear does get played and does not disintegrate. Let's go with take 6 damage every turn. And then this turn, I'm going to let Defy disintegrate, I think. Start with Photon Cut. We draw 2 cards. I'll put a Strike back on top. No, maybe I should play the Defy just because we need the block. I'm going to play Bash for free, most likely, because we currently have 4 energy. One of them's always Stone Armor. One of them's always Thunderclap. I could try to play Conflagration last, but it costs me some health to do that. So I think we're just going to go Defy to get the block and Conflagration, and we'll accept that we're giving up 2 damage on the Conflagration in order to spend our energy more efficiently. Oh, we also get more damage from Parrying Shield, which I forgot about. Here, I'll go with Shrug It Off, and then I'll go Strike, Exterminate. I'm always making sure that that gets played, and Strike, and I guess we're hoping Perfected Strike gets played here. With Pen Nib, that would deal... Oh no, I could have arranged it so that my Perfected Strike went off with a Pen Nib. I kind of forgot that I had this skill, not gonna lie. This should be a great turn for us, so I can go Stampede, so we can play both Perfected Strikes for free, and then we can play a Strike. I don't need to play Bloodletting. I'll just let these Perfected Strikes get cast, and that wins the fight. Alright, well that was a pretty clean Knowledge Demon fight, even though I kind of messed up my sequencing during that fight as well. Unmovable. The first time you gain block from a card each turn, double the amount gained. I don't think we want that. Helix Drill deals 3 damage for each energy previously spent this turn. So usually that's going to be 12 damage for 0, which is an okay attack. It gets upgraded to usually 20 damage for 0, which is a very good attack. Colossus is 5 block. You receive 50% less damage from vulnerable enemies this turn. Upgrades to 8 block. That's a good blocking skill. All enemies in the fight are usually going to be vulnerable, thanks to the cards that we have. I don't think we really need any of these, though, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that loot section. And we're back for Act 3. I had to go take care of a few things, and I left the game running, so if you look at the clock up here, you can see that we're on track for the world's slowest Ironclad run of all time. Forget speed running, we're slow running today. So, let's see what the Ancient has for me. I also kind of need to remind myself about the deck. We're doing a lot of Perfected Strikes with a bunch of strikes in the deck. Oh yeah, and we just got Metamorphosis, and we are choosing cards from every class. So all of that is really cool. Let's take a look at our card options here. Transform up to 6 cards into Maul, deal 5 damage twice, and increase all the damage of Maul cards by 1. That, of course, is very powerful. A 10 damage, 1 energy attack is already pretty good. Now, because we don't want to transform our strikes, it's a lot less powerful for this current deck. Iron Club, I think, is just busted. This is like one of the best boss relics, so usually this is the one that we're going to pick. Or I could enchant some of my attacks with Instinct, making them cost less. That I don't think is that necessary since we're playing all our cards for free with Stampede. So we're just going to take Ironclad here, and then we're going to keep moving on. At this point, I definitely prefer events over floor fights. We already have all of our cards that we need. I could go to this shop. I could just take this left-hand track, and then we do get a shop. We can still get, if I go like so, we can still get 3 elite fights, which is not bad going into the boss. And like I said, I much prefer events at this point over the hallway fights. So let's go to the left here, I think. Against these enemies, do I want to play Defy first? We would gain some block. We've got 21 incoming damage. Perfected Strike will deal 52, so that doesn't quite one-shot the Living Shield, but it's close. So let's go ahead and we'll play Defy on this enemy, so we don't have to block any more damage, and then we can play Perfected Strike and Strike, and I guess I'll play Fear, just to keep the enemy vulnerable for longer. Fun to one-shot the first enemy, or two-shot technically, but kill it on the first turn. 10 incoming damage here. I'm actually a little low on damage output to be able to kill this enemy this turn, but I can just take 1 damage if I play these cards. I don't need to play Bloodletting this turn, I don't think, and we'll just take 1 damage because our plating will block most of the incoming damage, and then 135 damage from that Perfected Strike. Okay, so Sunder is kind of interesting for this character. This, of course, is normally a defect card. But for the Ironclad, we're often trying to kill just with attacks. When you double the damage of this, it's 64 damage for 3. And we can play it for free off of Stampede, which obviously the bonus energy doesn't matter in that case. But just being able to spend to get a 3 energy attack for free is always good, but I think we'll just go with Inflame. We have a bunch of sources, a bunch of multi-attacks that can use our strength very well, and no current source of additional strength. So that's something that we want. Okay, so we've got the Battle-Worn Dummy. We need to see whether we'll get lethally humiliated again. Do I think I can kill a 300 health dummy? We probably could if I draw into Cruelty, because that would double our outgoing damage. I think I'm going to take the 150 health dummy, because I'm fairly confident that we can kill a 150 health dummy, and upgrading 2 cards is actually a pretty big deal for this character right now. Obviously, immediately punished because we did draw Cruelty in our opening shuffle, so we would have been able definitely to kill the 300 health enemy. So let's just go with Strike, Stampede, Perfected Strike. We redrew into another Perfected Strike. But that was 147 damage on the first turn, and then we can finish it off. And we upgrade Strike and Thunderclap. So not great upgrades, of course, but we'll take them. Random upgrades are usually not an amazing bonus, but for this character, a lot of our cards are very similar, so upgrading anything is always going to be decent value. Self-help book. On the floor lies a tome. Top 3 ways to conquer the Spire. The book is encrusted with blood, so you find this manuscript highly suspicious. Will you read it? Okay, so I could enchant an attack with Sharp 2. Enchanting the Exterminate, which hits 4 times with Sharp 2, is obviously a lot of value. Nimble 2 or Swift 2. Are there any powers? I don't have any powers that cost 0, which is what I like to put Swift on. Though we'll pretty much always play most of our powers when we draw them, so it's not terrible to draw 2 with them, but I think we're just going to go with Sharp on the Exterminate. That's just a lot of additional damage, and it makes this an extremely powerful card. You flip the book over and read the summary. Critics and cultists agree that sharp and pointy weapons are the best way to inflict damage. There's a price sticker on the back of the book, crossed out and marked with a greatly reduced price. I mean, they're not wrong. Sharp and pointy weapons, often the best way to do damage. Alright. So here, this is great. We can go Inflame and Photon Cut. And then I guess I'll just put the strike on top. I'll play Bloodletting because I want to play the whole hand. And with the Iron Club, we're cycling through all of these cards. So we can play Stone Armor, Stampede, redraw into Strike. I won't be able to play yet another card, unfortunately. But we can play everything in this hand and get the enemy for 100 and some damage on the first turn. And then let's see if we can kill it this turn. And I believe we should be able to with Cruelty into Perfected Strike. Actually, I guess I'll do Putrefy, and then there we go. Leg Sweep is also an interesting card for the Ironclad, because normally you don't get ways to apply weakness or good blocking cards. So having access to this is kind of fun, but I don't think we actually want any of those cards. We're winning these fights too fast for Leg Sweep to do much. And then here, of course, we're going to Smith. I could go with Inflame. I could upgrade Exterminate, which would now do 24 damage for 1 energy, which is really good. Conflagration, still a good upgrade, but I think we'll just upgrade Inflame here. Being able to add more strength, of course, is going to make all of our cards better. 29 damage from this enemy, so let's go with Cruelty, Bash. We'll draw a card here. And I'm always going to take a fairly large hit, so I'll just play Shrug It Off, and we'll try to minimize the amount of damage that we take here. 24 more damage coming in. But this time we can get the enemy weakened if we want to. So let's play Inflame, Defy to weaken it, so that's only 16 damage now. Stampede, drawing a card, and I guess I will play Fear just to make sure that we cast it when we get a free strike. Definitely taking some hits against this elite. Fortunately, we have so much healing, it just doesn't really matter. And with 13 more damage incoming, it is a little too bad that Metamorphosis just hasn't been that exciting for us, because we just haven't been able to reliably play it. But we will get to play it this turn, so we'll Putrefy, Strike, Metamorphosis, and... Or actually, I think here I do just have to play Stone Armor. I'll play Conflagration, because then we'll get Perfected Strike for free. So again, we're passing on Metamorphosis, but we have to conserve our health a little bit. And then here, let's go with Exterminate for 1 billion. Every other combat, your card rewards gain an additional power. That would have been very nice to have early, because it's an economy item, but at this point is much less exciting. It also doesn't count the combat in which you get it, which is interesting. I might take Calculated Gamble here. Feed is also okay, but we don't really need the maximum health. But given that part of the challenge for this deck is just that because we're playing Perfected Strikes, we've junked up our deck with a bunch of bad strikes, Calculated Gamble can give me kind of an insurance policy against that, so I think it's worth putting in the deck. Well, Ripple Basin is going to be completely useless almost all the time, but I guess we'll take it. And then we're going up against the Mecha Knight here. So once again, I am mostly on blocking this fight. We currently have a Duplicator, Fish Oil, and Dexterity Potion. I may use the Dexterity Potion to conserve health, because it's not the best potion for us, especially not against the bosses. So using it here to be able to cycle into a better potion, I think makes a lot of sense. Then we'll play 2 Shrug It Offs, I'll play Stone Armor, and I'll play Cruelty. I don't care about the Fear getting disintegrated here. This way we take no damage on the first turn, and then we can start setting up our later cards. So Putrefy won't work, because the enemy will have Artifact. It doesn't actually matter which order I cast Thunderclap and Putrefy in. Either way, we're getting just the vulnerability. And then we'll cast our Stampedes, and then we do get a free strike because of the Iron Club. The Stampede also also works with Iron Club. So here, this is pretty nice, because we can Calculated Gamble discarding all these burns. But let's play Bloodletting first. And I will play a Photon Cut. We'll put Perfected Strike back. Then I'm going to play Metamorphosis. Then I'll calculated gamble. Because I'm going to redraw into Perfected Strikes anyways. We did get Anger as one of our random effects. Unrelenting costs 0, makes my next attack cost 0. That's pretty cool as well. So let's go ahead and play that. We'll play Perfected Strike, costing 0. We will play Bash, Anger. And then, I guess, Strike, and then we'll play Conflagration for free. Body Slam currently does 0 damage, and Conflagration for free, killing the enemy. So, a pretty cool combo turn where we just blew it up. Stonecracker, certainly not bad at the start of boss combat to upgrade 3 random cards in your draw pile. We're pretty happy with that. Pummel Strike not only is a strike, which is going to improve our Perfected Strikes even further, so this is the first time we've been offered the opportunity to get another strike card in our deck in a while. Drawing cards is really good because it'll cycle us through to our Bloodletting faster. I do want to hit a shop, so even though I wouldn't mind going to the right here and taking 2 elite fights, we'll go to the left and then probably like that, in order to actually be able to hit a shop. Because I have 400 gold, so I do want to spend that. Okay, so in this fight, Momentum 5, kind of interesting. Increases card's attack damage by 5 this combat when played. That is very cool on our Exterminate. If we cycle through it multiple times, we probably won't, but it would be pretty good. Restlessness, we will basically never empty our hand because we have the Ironclad. Rend, we're only putting 2 debuffs on the enemy, so this is going to be 25 damage, not that exciting. Battle Trance, I think we don't want either. Normally this is an amazing card because drawing cards for 0 is excellent, but because I have Ironclad, I think that's we're usually going to lose out on draws from Battle Trance. So I'll take Spite here. We're going to lose HP most of the time, so it should usually redraw. I'll remove our last Defend, and then I don't have enough to buy an artifact. Is there any of these potions I wouldn't mind? I mean, I guess the Vulnerable Potion is fine, but I think we'll just stick with the ones that we currently have. Not a great shop for us, honestly, but still not bad. Let's take another elite fight, just because I want to, play Pokemon and collect extra artifacts. On a higher Ascension level, we wouldn't take this elite fight, because our deck is strong enough to beat the boss. There wouldn't be a need to take damage, but since we're on only Ascension 3, we can definitely get a little bit silly with it. Here, I will play Thunderclap, and Perfected Strike is 74 damage, so yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. What I really need is a Bag of Preparation just to draw extra cards for the first turn. That would be a huge deal for this character. And I'll Putrefy, I'll play Stampede, I'll play Stone Armor. Even with Bloodletting, I won't be able to redraw into another card, so I guess I'll just play the Strike here. And we'll take 9. And then here, we can draw into... Well, I'll start with Shrug It Off, then I'll play a Perfected Strike, and then I guess, does Strike just kill the enemy? It does not. So given that, I'm going to Calculated Gamble, looking for a hand with multiple attacks in it, so that our Stampede could kill it if our attacks didn't do enough damage. Blessing of the Forge, our cards are pretty well upgraded, so I don't need to swap any of my current potions, which are very good for that. Scourge lets us redraw. Bulk Up, that's a pretty good power for us. We don't care about losing an orb slot, since we're not using orbs at all. And 2 strength and 2 dex is really good, so I guess I'll take a Bulk Up. This also gets me cards from... How many different... We have every character's cards now. We've got a Defect card, we have a Silent card, we have a Necrobinder card, and we have a Regent card. So it's kind of fun that we have the full rainbow. Do we just kill the enemies if I go Bulk Up into Exterminate here? I don't think quite, but it's pretty close. Exterminate is going to be 7 damage. which then gets multiplied for 11. So we'll basically do half damage to all the enemies with bulk up. Is there anything that I would rather do than that? Think not. So I'll go bulk up, stampede, and then exterminate. 12 damage times 4. So get all the enemies down to half, basically. We're going to hope that it hits Perfected Strike and just one-shots one of these guys, but even if it doesn't, we're still pretty happy. Take some hits against these elites, but that's fine. We're coming up on a rest site, of course, because it's the end of the game, so we can always rest if we need to. And then let's go Inflame, Thunderclap, Bloodletting, Stampede, Bash on this one, because that'll kill it. Perfected Strike on this one. We redraw, play a Shrug It Off, and then I was hoping that would draw into another attack, which the Stampedes would play, but we drew Cruelty instead. And then here, we can just go ahead and apply some Vulnerable and kill the enemy. Ooh, is that better? Yeah, I think the fish oil, Mazalith's gift might be better than the fish oil for the boss fight. And because if something goes wrong in the boss fight and we get a bad shuffle, it might take a lot of turns. If the fight is over before this gives us more strength than the fish oil would have, then it doesn't matter what potion we have. So only in the case where something goes wrong does our potion matter. And in that case, Mazalith's gift is going to be the better one. You should usually think about when you're making this type of decision, like we're in a very commanding position in this game, of course. What are the ways that I could lose, and how do I narrow the probability of that happening as much as possible? Take Strike Dummy here. Obviously nice for a strike-based deck. And then, unfortunately, Defragment, a pretty premium card for the defect, but not so much for this one. Guiding Star would be nice, too. We didn't find a way to generate stars, which would have been kind of fun to play around with. I don't think I've actually seen the Slimed Berserker before, because I so rarely take hallway fights at the end of Act 3. So against this enemy, we'll go Putrefy, Perfected Strike, and Conflagration. It's going to put 10 Slimed in my deck, and then I can go Shrug It Off to start with. I'll play Inflame, Stampede. I'd like to play Perfected Strike for free, so let's go Strike and Exterminate. And then we'll have Perfected Strike get played for free. Sadly, we didn't have a Cruelty. If I'd had Cruelty played already, then we'd have killed the enemy in one shot with that Perfected Strike. Slate of Flesh, also a cool power for this character. I'm definitely going to take the Overclock, though. This is actually an amazing card for us right now. Forge is kind of fun, too. You can forge the Sovereign Blade, and then we can play it for free with Stampedes, which is an interesting mechanic. If we'd gotten a few more strong Forge cards, then that could be a way to guarantee that we get a big attack to play. But Overclock is amazing. Putting a burn in our discard pile doesn't matter at all. This is just also one of the, sort of in a vacuum, most powerful cards in the game. So being able to add it to this deck is, of course, great. I'm just going to do a safety rest here. We don't need any upgrades in particular. So again, I'm not worried about losing, but we're narrowing the possibilities with which we could lose as much as possible. And then we'll go into this fight here. I don't have a way to lose HP, actually. So this spite is pretty bad right now. But let's use Mazalith's Ritual. I will then play the Swift Potion, because I do just want to draw some cards. Okay, I'm going to play Duplicator and duplicate our upgraded Cruelty. So that's going to make vulnerable enemies take 100% extra damage here, and then another 25% from the Paper Frog. So they're taking 225% of their normal damage from any attack. So when we hit this, it's 99 damage already. That's kind of awesome. Let's go with... what do I want to play here? I'll definitely play the Stampede, and I guess I'll play another Stampede. And then I could shrug it off, but I think I'm just gonna cycle through these attacks to try to make sure that my good attacks get played off of Stampede. Unfortunately, we missed on the Perfected Strike getting played, I think. I didn't actually see which ones got played, but it looked like we missed, which is not great. Play Bulk Up here for more strength, of course, and then I'll play Thunderclap and Stone Armor. And I'll play a Strike. That was my Pen Nib attack as well. Maybe I should have thought more about the Pen Nib, but it doesn't matter because we wouldn't have been able to... Well, we couldn't conserve the card because it would get played by a Stampede. So here, Calculated Gamble will let me shuffle here so that we can ignore the bound cards for this turn, because only the first 3 cards you draw are bound together, so if you trade them out with Calculated Gamble, you'll get something better. Let's start with a Photon Cut, because then I can maybe find something else that I want as well. And I'm going to put the Exterminate on top. Use Calculated Gamble, now I can play Exterminate. I'll play Overclock here. So this is where having the Overclock in the deck is really good. And I'll play a Pummel Strike. Oh, this enemy is actually no longer vulnerable. I wasn't paying attention to that. So that's why it hasn't been dying. But the Exterminate will kill it. So let's actually just play Putrefy on the Queen. And we'll play Exterminate here. And then we'll let Stampede take the wheel. And see what cards get played. It was 2 of the better ones. Here, I'm going to go with Photon Cut to draw some cards. So, but I think I'll Metamorphosis first, actually. We can get some 0-cost attacks in the yard. And we'll put a Strike on top. Doesn't really matter. We'll play Bloodletting. We'll play Spite. We'll play Thunderclap. We'll play Strike. And I don't get to redraw here. We've actually had fairly bad shuffles in this fight so far. But as soon as I draw into a Perfected Strike, we can now finally hit for 185 damage and end the Queen's career immediately. Alright, so there we go. That was the Ironclad just using gigantic attacks to blast through a fairly low difficulty Ascension on Ascension 3, but, you know, we're still climbing. And that was a really fun build as well, where we got to use cards from every character. Return to the bottom, Ironclad. I'm sure there's a lot of fan art of that. And there we go. That is another Slay the Spire victory. Alright, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed that run. I had a blast with that one. That was actually really fun. Prismatic Gem is just such a cool item, so it ended up giving us so much cool stuff. And the Stampede build, I don't know how good it is later on, but it was really fun here. Perfected Strike, I think, is a little too unreliable. We got huge numbers off of it in this game, but having all of these strikes in our deck definitely decreases the power of the deck a lot. You really do want to try to remove these. So Perfected Strike was pretty powerful when it went off, but on higher Ascension levels, my assumption is that you're going to want a more consistent deck overall. As always, of course, if you have enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Slay the Spire 2 and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.